I am sure all of you will agree that that discussion was well worth waiting the whole day to get to. Thank you so much to our panelists for sharing with us, not just on access to funding, but really some critical conversations that happen around funding. And then also in the spirit of Women's Month, I think some very key points coming through on what things women should be thinking about in terms of getting funded, what are some of the hurdles. And I think there's some really good things that came through, building confidence, surety, having the right networks, finding mentorship support and so forth. And hopefully you all took away some good nuggets that you can implement in growing your business. Now, I know you are dying to find out who the final winner is with that grand prize. So firstly, just to recap, from our morning session, we had a question on which platform to use, and the winner for that was Sibo Zulu, and Sibo won the first prize. Our second question was in the marketing segment with talking about which marketing platforms are good, and the winner for that was Hilary Molotsi, and that was on the question of the 80-20 rule. And then the third prize was on which is the best kind of interactive content to create, and the answer for that was creating videos for social media, and that works really well. And the winner for that one was William Makubela. And then the final question on the SME credit gap, which was the fourth question, and that's the grand prize of 25,000. And the winner for that is Shomi Baloyi. So congratulations to all of our winners. Our team will contact you around getting your prizes to you and how that whole process is going to work. And just a quick recap, the maximum prize was valued at 25,000, but those are all branding and marketing related prizes. So the first prize was around designing your logo. The second prize was your logo plus auditing your logo, and then one including a landing page and website, and the final one including a social media strategy as well. So lots of great prizes and lots of great businesses that are going to receive support to boost your online brand and your online presence. Thank you very much. And then just to quickly look at the app and who's been chatting to us. I saw everyone was commenting while the panel was going on before this. Thank you to all the comments that have come through around mentorship. Just a quick reminder that if you did not win one of those 4 prizes to support your business with branding and marketing, we are doing additional prizes, and that's receiving a free copy of the book, My Hall of Mentors. And the question for that was for you to share with us, why is mentorship important to you? So if you put your comments in there, the team will also contact you after the event to let you know if you have won a book. And I see a comment here from Emma around mentorship. There was one I saw earlier on as well. I can't remember who the person was, but they also sent a comment through on mentorship. So we do see you, so please do comment. And then finally, if there's anything that you missed, you can send an email to info.esd@sasol.com, and our team will respond to you. And then I know there's questions that we have not addressed, and so we're going to go into our final Q&A session for the day. And I'd like to welcome to the stage to please join me Ms. Jabulile Ratsibe, who is the head of Sasol ESD. She has over 16 years experience in supply chain in the petrochemical industry. She joined Sasol in 2000 as manager of Sasol Solvents, and she has a passion for small business development. And you can see this passion coming through with the work that she does and in the changed approach in the development of enterprises, and her drive to support the Sasol economic transformation strategy. And literally while we're here today is because of the work that Jabulile does and her passion in supporting SMEs. So I'd like to welcome her to the stage, and then joining her, we had him on stage earlier on. Please welcome again to the stage Lebelo Lukhele, who is the Chief Procurement Officer here at Sasol. So you both can come onto the stage and join me for our cozy chat on Q&A, and I promise not to grill anybody too extensively. I think we can follow up from here. Cool. Thank you so much for making time to join us. Jabulile, thank you so much for your time. Lebelo, thank you so much for sticking around the whole day so we could chat and just respond to some of the questions that were on the app. So just to quickly, just some big questions that came through, I think, since our conversation this morning was on the linkage app, and that was one of the panel discussions that we had this morning. And then there was also questions on the Women in Engineering program. So I'll just put those to both of you, and you can decide which one you want to respond to. So with regards to the linkage platform, people really wanted just to highlight really how does it work. And there's a specific question on, are there external synergies with the linkage platform? So does it link to, for example, Ariba or to Growth Wheel? And then with the Women in Engineering, can we know a little bit more about that program and how people can participate?
No, thank you for that, Nziki. I'll tackle the one on linkage, and I think as we go on, Lebelo is going to explain a little bit more about the Women in Engineering program. So let's talk about Linkage. So Linkage is the platform that we use, as we've said, Hepsi has said earlier on, to connect SMEs to the corporate. So specifically at Sasol, we use the platform to make sure that, we've got an understanding of, the grading of the SMEs. So you have SMEs that register themselves on Linkage, they get graded. It gives us a sense in terms of whether they can be able to participate specifically within our supply chain. When those SMEs are at the platinum level, then we sort of get an idea that they're much more closer to being to be onboarded into our supply chain processes. We use Ariba platform actually for transacting. So what Linkage does, it gives visibility to the buyers. So the buyers would go onto Linkage, specifically the Sasol page on Linkage, and look at which suppliers for that particular scope actually can qualify, so that if there's an opportunity that is available, then they can invite those suppliers into our RFQ. Into the RFQ processes that will then follow. We will then invite them to actually get themselves into the Ariba platform. So we'll send an RFQ through Ariba, and they will be able to respond. Whether they are vendors or not, doesn't really matter. And then from that, we will then, depending on whether they're successful in the opportunity or not, then we'll get them to be onboarded as a supplier. If they are already an existing supplier and they're platinum graded, it doesn't change anything. So people tend to ask, so why do you want us to be registered on Linkage when we're already on Ariba? The reason for that is to really create the visibility for SMEs. So it makes it easy for the buyer to know that this particular SME can actually execute this particular scope. So as opposed to in Ariba, where maybe that visibility is not as clear. So it gives that visibility. We're also going to roll out on Linkage the advertisement of opportunities. So I'm sure one of the questions that is going to come through is, where are the opportunities? Yes. So really, what we want to do is to make it easy for SMEs to understand as to what is coming up. So all the opportunities that we'll have in our supply chain, we'll advertise them on Linkage platform, and the people can be able to see and prepare themselves. If somebody is at a gold level or silver level and they're not really there, then they can understand the requirements that we will have. When we have that opportunity coming up, they can prepare themselves, they can maybe link up with an enterprise development with whichever partners that they're working with, and if they're part of our enterprise development program, on our side is, especially when we've got opportunities that are long-term, then we'll be able to go and identify those companies that we would like to develop specifically for those particular opportunities. So it is really a bridge for us to be able to enable our development process, because we're really trying to get it to be more structured, but also make sure that the SMEs get ready for the procurement opportunities.
Yes, and just to verify with that, it's not industry specific, so the SMEs can be offering anything, there's an opportunity for them.
Well, anything within limits. So for as long as you can participate in a typical Sasol value chain, yes, it is. But if you're running a crash, possibly not.
Possibly not. So that was one of the burning questions that came through so many times within the comments section. So I hope that you guys have clarity on that. And then also somebody had asked around is the platform closed? And no, it's not. The platform is still open. A few of you did say that you received your platinum status. Congratulations. And the onboarding is still happening. So make sure that you go to the website, that you register. And if you've already registered, someone will contact you with regards to the onboarding process. Lebelo, coming over to you, for people who are interested in knowing about the Women in Engineering program, what is that all about?
Oh, thank you very much, Nsigi. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for welcoming me back. If you do research and studies, you would find that of the Fortune 1000 companies, about 90% of them still have got male CEOs. Now, surely we can't, in this day and age, be perpetuating that through biases that women cannot lead, because that statistic simply suggests that. So what we're trying to do as an attempt to demystify that bias is to create a platform. We normally have intakes for our incubation programs. We wanted to launch during this Women Month a very exciting program for women-led organizations, and we call it Women in Engineering program. We will roll it out. We will start with the recruitment processes around September. It will be advertised on all the Sasol networks. The key and importance of this program is we want to start growing and nurturing women-led businesses. We'll provide them incubation support. We'll provide them business acceleration support, networking opportunities. We'll provide leadership and mentorship opportunities. by industry experts. It's not necessarily that we're going to be doing that ourselves. We want people who are best in what they do to provide that guidance and support from them. Ultimately, at the end of that program, which we estimate to be between 12 and 18 months, is that we'd want to identify those who are ready and capable of being absorbed into our procurement opportunities. But the development journey would also entail assisting them in developing their service offering or product offering such that other entities and industries can make use of their services. One of the weaknesses we wouldn't want to continue having in the organization is having too many SMMEs, or rather having SMMEs dependent solely on Sasol. We'd like people to come in through our programs, we'd like them to mature, sustain, but at some point exit out of that program being diverse in the way they are getting their income and not necessarily be getting all their income from Sasol. Anything can happen to any organization. We went through a financial crunch and many people suffered, our spend base went down, and we wouldn't want our SMMEs to be in that statistic. So that's what Women in Engineering is all about. It gives us great pleasure to launch it during the month where we celebrate women.
Thank you so much for that. I'm excited. I'm not a woman in engineering, but I might go launch an engineering company just to be part of the vibes. There was another question that came through around, the funding opportunities available through Sasol. So somebody wanted to know, does Sasol fund inventions? And then also somebody else wanted to know, how can they go about accessing funding support through Sasol? So is that something that's specific on the linkage app, or are there other avenues for those kinds of opportunities?
Yes, I think there is some information that was shared by Yonela in terms of how you can access the opportunities in relation to specifically the funding that we offer at Sasol. So I think if somebody is not sure, please send an email, info.esd@sasol.com. We'll be able to make sure that we respond to you and you're able to clarify in terms of exactly what we require. But I also just want to emphasize that all the information that was shared today will be made available to all the participants, so you do not have to stress in terms of writing everything down. We'll be able to share the information with you. So do we fund inventions? I think what is important to understand is that at Sasol, our funding is really focused on the people that are already on the supplier base.
Yes.
So we're not offering the funding from an enterprise development point of view, it's more from a supplier development point of view. So by default, it means that you should already be a supplier at Sasol. So it gives us a sort of, a limitation in terms of who we fund and how we go about funding them. But what I do want to emphasize is that, we do fund enterprise through grant funding, but again, they should be linked to our value chain. So is it a company that can potentially be a supplier to Sasol, number one, and number two, are they part of our enterprise development program? Remember, I've just said that our enterprise development program we used to have it open in the past, now we're very specific. So it is really around opportunities. So the group that we take through the program is because we foresee that there's opportunities that are coming up in the future, and therefore we'll try to make sure that we support those SMEs so that they can participate in those particular opportunities. So it then gives a limitation from that perspective.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. And then, Lebelo, I think just building on that, there was curiosity around how does somebody join the Sasol Supplier Program or join the development program?
I think Jabulile has already touched on that. It is important that people go onto our website. We have a link in the Sasol website where they can access information around our ESD programs. In short, our programs are biased towards people who are in our fence line communities.
Yes.
And there's a reason why we're doing that. It would be so sad where we find a Sasol operations succeeding and thriving, and yet the communities around us are failing.
Yeah.
We draw resources from those communities. We draw a lot of support for our own success as an organization from those communities. So we are unashamedly biased towards that. It does not necessarily mean we will not support others. Yeah. We will do other interventions to support other people. So the best way to do it is info@esd.com, and there are prerequisites that one has to meet before they can be onboarded into that program. But as Jabulile has also said, we do not want to be developing people for the sake of developing them. We want to do purposeful development where we target people, where we find there are opportunities within our value chain where we can integrate people in. So it is that process that is also biased towards the kind of work that we do at Sasol. But obviously, it being a petrochemical organization, once you attain skills in such an environment, you're pretty much set up to operate anyway.
Fantastic. And then I'm curious to know, I think sometimes people kind of look at an organization like Sasol and they kind of go, oh, it's a guy's game. Are there opportunities? And I know there's the Women in Engineering program that's being launched, but just across the ESD program, are we seeing more women participating? Are we seeing more women putting up their hands? And if not, can you maybe share some words of encouragement to get more ladies to apply and put their hands up?
Yes, I mean, what we find is that, there's actually a particular bias towards, more gentlemen applying. And I think that maybe it is due to the fact that it's the nature of the game, right? So if somebody at home decides that, I'm going to take the leap and start a small business, who's left behind in the corporate is a woman. They have to make sure that there is an income to pay the rent, is to pay electricity or pay the bond, whilst the guy or the man of the house is out there trying to, make the hustle. And we see that, coming through in terms of when we've actually got, open programs. I mean, if I can just give you a sense, we opened up an opportunity for our development program it was in July last year. And out of 200 applicants, we ended up with 7 men. And it is not because we didn't want to have women, participating in that. It's because the opportunities were around engineering. They were around, specific industries, because as we've mentioned, we want to be specific. And yes, people thought that, okay, what does this say about Sasol? The team that was doing recruitment will tell you that I had to say, take the whole list of women businesses, go back and check in terms of why they cannot be incorporated. But I think what is important to mention is that we will not compromise what we do for the sake of ticking a box of women.
Yes.
We want women to show up. We want women to be able to also do their part in terms of what they need to do. Yes, we're going to be intentional in relation to the Women in Engineering program, and we're just going to, specifically focus on women. And our approach will probably include both an incubation and also an acceleration kind of approach, so which will allow for a little bit more. So, but what we want to do is to say that, what all our approach is not around ticking boxes.
Yes.
We've passed ticking boxes about really making sure that we succeed at the end of what we do and we have the right impact.
Thank you so much for that. And that's all the time that we have for our question and answers. As Yonela mentioned earlier on, if there's anything else, we will respond to that offline. And also you have the email address, and anything that you want to know that wasn't covered, you can send your email to that and somebody will respond to you. But thank you so much for creating spaces, not just for women, but also creating spaces in communities where change and transformation is required. And thank you for leading the change. It's wonderful to have people within large corporates like yourselves who are passionate about small business development and passionate about seeing the change. So thank you so much.